Hi there, I'm Joey,
I'm Jacob.
and we are re-watching Star Trek for the first time.
Yeah, I guess.
I think that's about the most accurate way I can describe that. I think. Yeah. We're watching The Cage today. Yeah, it's cool. I'm excited. I'm really excited. Yeah. So last time on Star Trek, what we did is we finished Star Trek. We finished Star Trek the original series, all 79 episodes that were aired. This one, however, was not aired.
Kind of not aired anyway.
We made the executive decision when we started, and by executive decision I mean that I had already made the proof of concept thumbnail for the Man Trap, and I didn't want to go back and make a new one for the Cage. So
executive decision.
Well, okay, but furthered by the fact that we were told ahead of time that, like, hey, they basically just do the Cage again, like 10 episodes in, so you're just going to be watching the same episode again. And we're like, okay, well, fuck the Cage then, so I'm not watching the Cage. We're watching the Cage now. There's been a lot more distance between having watched the Menagerie, which is basically the Cage with things thrown around it.
I remember the plot of the Cage enough for this definitely to count as a rewatch.
Yeah, I don't know if anything was cut though for the Menagerie.
That's what I want to see.
I also don't know if the intro was the same in the original.
We're gonna find out.
These are the things I'm excited for. These are the things. And also, since we're going back to the very beginning of Star Trek, we're going back to the beginning ways of how we started making Star Trek videos. I'm not taking notes. I'm not fucking doing it.
Nope.
Because this is both going to serve as we're watching The Cage for the first time, and also we're just kind of reflecting on us watching Star Trek by going back to the beginning, but by actually watching something that we've technically never seen. But yeah, I'm excited for it. Let's get into it. We're gonna get into post-episode thoughts in a second, I guess.
Yeah.
Be sure to join us then. We're about to watch The Cage. Another disappointing day for the shirtless Shatner count. I came up with that joke like 5 minutes into the episode. I was like, I gotta hold on to that. But I didn't realize this was an hour-long pilot.
Oh my goodness.
Hour and 3 minutes.
You could definitely cut some of it.
Yeah. I don't know what the situation is. I haven't really looked into it, but like, I don't know. Did they show this to NBC and they were just like, look, the episode's a bit shit, but like, we'd really dig the idea for the show. Could you just give us a totally different pilot?
And they did.
Yeah. And I guess Mr. Hunter took that to mean like, okay, it's fucking doomed. Like the million other pilots that they've offered me, I'm not sticking around.
And then it became wildly successful.
Yeah.
In his lifetime.
I think it's like my first bit of reflection, and I mentioned this during the episode, but I really do love that when it did come to like replacing Pike with a different character, and they made Captain Kirk and they cast William Shatner. They didn't just cast William Shatner as Captain Pike.
No.
They made a new character. They made Captain Kirk, and they actually did create a different character. Because really, like, this is technically a rewatch. I don't remember much about Pike's characterization because I was just kind of taken aback by what the Menagerie was.
Yeah.
Especially when we got to part 2. But Kirk is a very different character. I think at least there are some things that carry over from Pike in the early episodes, namely some of Pike's aggression. Like Kirk is much more of a pacifist than Pike is, it seems.
Mm-hmm. But because there's a fight scene in one of the many dream sequences, and like Pike gets to fighting pretty much the moment go is said.
Yeah,
and I'm like, man, Kirk wouldn't just do that though.
Yeah,
at least not that I would. Not the characterization I got to understand.
Yeah, like there were some fights early on, but once again, I feel like a lot of those are like, some people were still like told like what the captain of the Enterprise is like, the space vehicle Enterprise.
The space vehicle,
which I love. I love that descriptor.
Hyperdrives, rockets, and space-time warps.
Yeah. I want to talk about a lot of the rest of the cast though here, because I didn't take notes, but I have the IMDb page up. So first off, Spock's like very different in this. First off, he's not in it enough, in my opinion. But I mean, like he's great still because he's Leonard Nimoy, but like very clearly just didn't quite know entirely who the character was yet.
No, because he's not even the most scientifically minded character on the cast at this point.
Yeah, honestly, it seems to be Majel Barrett's character in the pilot, number 1.
Number 1 is very much the scientific mind of the core.
Yeah, and now that I've like really like paid attention to more like I don't think I knew who she was really when we watched the Menagerie, but like Majel Barrett's just a fucking badass. I fucking love her.
We might have called out they called that out earlier. But
Maybe.
but I don't remember.
Yeah. Also, we get our prototype Dr. McCoy here, who probably actually was also my favorite character in this. Much like Dr. McCoy is my favorite character.
He was just a good character.
Star Trek. John Hoyt plays Dr. Philip Boyce, who has, first off, the best scene of the episode. It happens like 5 minutes in. I think we probably commented on it in the Menagerie, too.
Yeah.
But that scene with the two of them together, and he does the whole thing with him being a bartender and having patients that are living in the same two clientele, the people that are living and people that are dying. Great scene. Fucking love that. But Pike, in that scene, actually, Pike is in a really interesting position, because as this is written as a
pilot episode.
It's a pilot episode.
It's ideally the first episode an audience would see.
Yeah, but Pike is kind of already sick of being a captain on a space vehicle, which in
retrospect makes perfect sense.
Yeah,
in sort of a retroactive way.
And it helps that they're currently putting out a fucking prequel show for the Cage right now, called Strange New Worlds. That's all I know is that it's a prequel show to this.
Yeah.
And it's about Captain Pike, and like, okay, yeah, you could lead up to the Cage eventually, but like this was written at the time, I imagine, as like one of the first ones. But I don't know. Did he have a disastrous first couple months on the job? Like, it's weird, really, really weird.
He had all the kind of adventures Kirk had, but didn't take it in stride.
Yeah, right. Yeah. He met Abe Lincoln, but he met like fucking like actually in like horrible American events Abe Lincoln, not like a replicant of Abe Lincoln that was made to like fight like replicants of Genghis Khan and shit.
Yeah.
I keep referencing that, but I feel like that's just one of the weirdest things that happened in Star Trek.
I know, it's the hardest thing to actually justify happening in a sci-fi show.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah,
there's the Yeoman. It's been
Yeoman,
so long.
Yeoman, J.M. Colt.
Like, it's been so long relative to last seeing a Yeoman present as part of the main cast.
Mm-hmm.
That, like, seeing the Yeoman present this heavily, I'm like, yeah, this is just where early Janice comes from.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I find that really, really interesting. And also, like, it's not like a one-to-one, like, oh yeah, this is meant to be the... like, we do have, like, our Kirk, Spock, and McCoy, one of them literally being Spock.
Yeah.
But the others are a little harder to fill in. Like, okay, I guess Ahura is sort of a mix of, like, number one and maybe Yeoman Colt?
Maybe. That's definitely the kind of role
Probably more number one, realistically.
But number one is doing a lot of other odd things.
Yeah, there's definitely not really, like, a Scotty stand-in or anything.
No, there is, like, an engineer guy, but we never see
him. Yeah, he has, like, two
voice
or three
lines as far as I caught.
Yeah, like, yeah, he doesn't actually have much to do. But yeah, like, there's not exactly, like... I'm looking back on it, you can see, like, the changes that were made to the crew, and overall, like, what made the actual show of TOS, like, stick out a lot more.
Because, I mean, like, Spock's a good example. He's a character who's, as we said, clearly not overly defined yet.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's a scene towards the end where the Yeoman, number one, and Pike are all captured. Spock's like, you know what? Screw it, we're getting out of here.
Yeah, yeah. And again, like, I don't know, like, how much had been decided about a character like Mr. Spock, like, at this point in the show. Like, did they have the whole Vulcan human backstory made up yet? And if so, like, do they have all the implications that
well, he has pointy ears, and he's the only character with it still.
Yeah, yeah. But, like, what had they actually, like, nailed about the character when making, like, say, like, our hypothetical character Bible for Spock? Like, what had they actually decided? Because if it was everything that we knew about him in TOS, that's a little weird.
So I don't think that's the case.
Yeah.
Not at that point, anyway.
At least there are differences, mostly, I think, in Nimoy's performance that kind of, like, throw it off. But yeah, also want to talk about the last scene, because I thought that was really fascinating. You called it out when it happened, because there's that shot at the end of the Menagerie where they show Pike and...
Dead Pike.
Yeah.
Dying Pike, I should say.
Yeah, Davros Pike, as he goes off with Vina as young Pike, and there's, like, an illusion they go off in this elevator in the cavern together.
They're both young. He can kind of live out the rest of his life.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter.
In the context of the episode, it's Vina getting an illusion of Pike to go off with her at the end. But I like kind of like remembering that aspect of the episode, like that's actually like meant to be Pike at the end, seeing himself differently. He gets his own version of the illusion towards the end, which I find really interesting.
It's also amazingly edited.
Yeah, seriously, yeah.
Like with just a couple seconds of earlier to cut.
Yeah.
You got a great cutoff.
Yeah. Good on the Menagerie, seriously. They did what they could with a perfectly fine-ish episode.
Like it works.
Mm-hmm.
But I can understand. If I was an NBC executive, I could plausibly understand passing on it.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
but still wanting more because there's potential there, and you could see how the show evolved from this point.
I think there's little things that like retroactively, not retro, that's the wrong word. There's little things like if you've seen the whole show of like TOS, that you notice are slightly different beyond sets.
Yeah.
Like the sound effects are just a little longer.
Yeah.
Some shots just hold longer than they need to.
Yeah. And I guess the last thing I actually wanted to bring up here was that this is all, like, I don't know, for some reason, like, you know, when you go to like Paramount Plus or you look at IMDb or whatever, like it says like this is the first episode of the show. You're insanely misleading people when you do that, I think. Like, seriously.
Because it's such a tonal difference.
Yeah.
Like, most people have this kind of generic version of Star Trek.
Yeah.
In their mind. We did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, we did going into it. We had a fairly generic idea of what the show was like.
Yeah. I can't imagine how different my view of the show would be if this was the first episode we watched. And honestly, I'm not sure if I'd like it as much, like on our first outing, you know?
No, I don't think I would have either.
Yeah.
I think The Man Trap does such a fantastic job of getting you in the right mindset.
Yeah. Despite the fact that, you know, Where No Man is the actual pilot, I guess, like, you should watch if you're looking for, like, hey, like, the introductory episode to TOS as we know it.
Right. But if you're just a modern, like, everyday style person, you're just like, all right, what's the first one I watch? If you skip The Cage, it's
the Man Trap.
The Man Trap, yeah.
Yep. But yeah, now we've actually seen it all. That's it. Yeah, that's actually it. That's Star Trek. That's the original series. So if you missed last video, if you're just watching this, we are tomorrow, on Sunday for once, releasing another Star Trek video. We're releasing our top 10 Star Trek the original series episodes with the cage included. There's going to be some time between us recording this and that, obviously, because we're recording so far in advance. It's insane. But yeah, so yeah, we should be able to look at tomorrow the top 10 Star Trek TOS episodes. Comes out then. We're gonna probably get working on that at some point today.
Oh yeah, probably.
Yeah, I'm very excited for that. So yeah, we're doing that, and then we're getting into the animated series next week, which I'm also very excited for.
I am as well.
Can't wait to see what that's all about. So yeah. All right, I guess that does it. Again. That's it. Until we do it again. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to join us tomorrow when we do our top 10 video, and next week when we start Star Trek the animated series. So until then, this has been Joey Morgan.
Jacob.
Goodbye.